Hi, how you doing? I thought just to start off I'd show you my warm-up and you'll see the whole process of that. It'll take about 30 minutes, you can just skip through it, and then after that I will play all of the pieces. I might go through them once or twice, and if I do go through them again I'll tell you what I'm doing to improve them. Okay. So first we start off with tuning. You probably know all about that. Nice and slow strokes. I've got a little tuner down here, which is just making sure that I have everything completely in tune. So always do long strokes and listen for exactly what you're listening for what's wrong with it. In this case, my D is just ever so slightly flat. That's better. C is pretty good. Okay, so the first thing I do with my warm-up is I focus on one hand. If you're diving with both hands straight away, then things can get a little bit confused unless you're practicing all the time, 6 hours a day, which I'm not at the moment, very naughty. So I always start off with the bow to get the sound right. So for that, I just make sure that my starting strokes are correct. Make sure that my hand is nice and supple. And then my arm isn't locking up too much. So we're just going for downstrokes at the start. So placing the bow, getting a nice clean sound. You'll notice that I pull up and away. We don't do that with every stroke while we're playing, but just for this, it's good to feel like you're drawing the sound out, then going up with it in a circular motion back down to where you place the contact point again. What you want to watch out for is that you don't place too much pressure in, otherwise you'll get this effect. Yeah? So nice and light, but scooping it out. Try it with the other strings. So while I'm doing the open strings, I also make sure that my hand is still in position over here, but nice and relaxed. Should be completely floppy, but hanging out there, just so it gets used to that position while we're doing bow strokes. Try doing long alternate bow strokes, up and down. Trying to get it to connect up the top there. as we get down to the tip, because it's a relatively long bow, that's what we have to deal with as violists, that I will curve out and around with my elbow to make sure that it stays straight. Also make sure that the bow is not completely flat on, but curved slightly away, so that the hair is always scooping towards the bridge. That's what it looks like if it's exaggerated. A little bit further back than that. So as you go down and around, it's curving towards the bridge. Try different dynamics as well, but still full bows. Starting soft and going to a louder volume. Without losing the bow stroke. So once we're happy with that, you can continue doing that for as long as you like, really. Usually about half an hour to 45 minutes of just open bows. And then I'll move to just playing with my fingers. Okay, so for that we're going to use this Kreutzer Etude number 1. Is this one here. So we're going to be starting from over here. This one's nice and simple, but with this one we're just trying to make sure everything's in tune. So the reason why I'm starting with this piece is because I'm very familiar with it. So it's not too challenging, it's just about getting my ears and my fingers in tune with a nice good bow stroke at the start of the practice, which I think is important before you move on to anything that's challenging. So stop on anything that you think is out of tune, but try not to change what you've just done. Have a look at what you've just done. In this case, the A was ever so slightly sharp, the fourth finger A. And just have a look at it, adjust your finger, have a think about it, and then restart. So don't restart too quickly. Think about what you've done first, and then have another go. So in that case, the C was ever so slightly flat. Yeah, so we go back and recorrect it again. Try not to use vibrato at the start. Try to keep it intentional. So you notice that some of my bows feel just a little bit ugly. They're not all completely connected. So we're going to try and do it a little bit slower and just make sure that the changes at either end as I'm moving across the strings are all the same. Yeah, so you're aiming for consistency here. There's no dynamics marked into this except that it's all loud. So with that you're aiming for consistency. So try not to put in dynamics that don't exist, just as you shouldn't ignore dynamics that are written in. through the whole piece like that, just making sure that my arm stays as comfortable as possible until I'm really sure of the consistency. Yeah, making sure that this is nice and mobile. If it starts to feel a little bit sore at the start of your practice, then make sure you stretch. So for that, a good one is to just hold your arm out like this. Yeah, turn your head out this way. Yeah, and then slowly bring your head forward like that, keeping your hand up the other way, up like that. Yeah, you should feel that across your chest and your upper trapezoid, these shoulder muscles, and then along your arm as well. Yeah. Okay? Eventually we want to get this exercise up to a nice, good speed. So on and so forth, but without that vibrato at the end. Okay? So that would be my warm-up. There's a couple of other pieces as well, which I can record for you if you'd like. You just need to talk to my mum about it. But you start off with that. Don't speed up as quickly as I just did then. I'd spend another 10 to 15 minutes just doing very slow practice on this before I start slowly speeding it up. Use a metronome if you feel like you're getting out of time. But yeah, start with a piece that you know. Make sure that everything that Brenna, my mum, has been talking to you about with regards to technique is there with a piece that you're familiar with. Then go on to the pieces that you need to work on, the stuff that's hard. Okay? We'll get going on that now.